One thing that I think Philly in back-to-back years has pulled off is somehow in the draft they trade for somebody that they need, who's a stud. And look, I've had a lot of criticisms of Swift over the years. Last year I was pretty vocal about the fact that, no pun intended, about the fact that I really didn't think he was a good fit for the Lions offense. With that being said, he has a lot of God-given talents, and I think with this offensive line, with this offense, with a mobile quarterback, he's going to be deadly with them.
It's such a perfect fit, dude.
And then in the draft, man, just what they've been able to do with their defensive line the past 2 years too is absolutely insane.
Do you think there's any team that's had a better off season each of the last 2 years than them? I mean,
no. I think they've had the best.
AJ Brown. They drafted really well. Getting Devontae Smith a few years ago. This year's draft was just dominant. I mean, they just stole so many guys that no one thought they'd get.
They basically have all of Georgia's national championship front seven as their front seven. I mean,
how does that even happen? How do you?
I don't know. I don't know how.
I mean, they actually do have like 4 or 5 of the top guys from that front seven on their team.
That's what I'm
saying. You mentioned DeAndre Swift is a former Georgia running back. You have Hurts as a former Alabama quarterback.
They like Bama, they like Georgia, and I mean, how could you not, right? Yeah, this is. Oh, there we go. For whatever reason, my internet's
why I'm so high on Swift in Philly too is like, I mean, the Lions used him. I think they actually underused him, and there was times where it was because of availability and injuries and stuff like that. But in terms of their scheme, like John said, with a mobile quarterback and with a dominant offensive line, like that's what Swift thrived in college. The 1 year in Detroit where he got a great offensive line, when he was healthy, he thrived. And he's great out of the backfield in the passing game. So Jalen Hurts has the threat to run, which we're going to see plenty of film on in a second. You add someone like this into that backfield rotation, you just can reload at running back. So even if one of these guys does go down to injury or misses a couple games, they have other guys that can step in and do just
They're very
as good.
deep there. Yeah.
Very deep there.
And for whatever reason, this video won't load, so my bad. But anyway, sorry, continue your thought.
Well, the whole thing, and like you said, John, Jalen Hurts' ability to run the ball was, huge for them, especially down the red zone, because as linebackers and defensive ends, you can't just commit all of your attention to the running back when there's a mesh, because he'll pull that thing and he'll make you pay when he does. And we have plenty of clips here I'll show that I don't know what you do, because you can't take both away. If you focus more on Jalen Hurts, he'll give the ball to guys like DeAndre Swift, and if you take Swift away, Hurts will make you pay.
Yep. And not to mention, like you said, I mean, their receiving core is disgusting.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt either. And then you try to load the box and take them both away, they'll just throw to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. So Jalen Carter, we mentioned the Georgia Bulldogs, we mentioned the draft. Look at the quick twitch of someone this big. It's pretty ridiculous.
I am forever going to stay mad that we didn't draft this dude. I'm not going to lie.
I think so too.
I think that he's going to pan out just fine in the NFL. Don't get me wrong. I'm not upset at all with who he went with in the draft as a Lions fan, but like this dude has very, very special ability to rush from the interior. It's a very hard thing to do, and he was one of the best at it in college. And I do think
he was the best overall player in the draft. He was there when the Lions pick was up. And
I mean, him and Jordan Davis combined, like it's going to be.
I get there's issues and stuff with him off the field, but when that gets squared away and he's able to just play and not have to worry about that anymore, this guy's a freak of nature, man. I mean, the Lions have missed on some players before, like Odell Beckham Jr. was available. We didn't draft him, and that's always going to pain me.
It's going to happen. I mean, but that's the thing, though, is Holmes has built this team so well, and he has a philosophy and he sticks with it, and it hasn't bit him yet. I'm not going to be mad about it, but Carter's going to be a freaking good player, assuming he can stay out of trouble, which I think it's more likely than not that he'll stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Again, he's reunited with a lot of his classmates. He's obviously, in an NFL's got a lot of structure to it to kind of keep a lot of guys out of trouble too. They do crazy amount of trainings and stuff like that. I mean, if push comes to shove, they can literally hire basically a freaking life coach babysitter, which there's more NFL players out there than probably they'd like to admit that do shit like that. But yeah, it's their pass rush is going to be insane. Their offensive line is basically locked and loaded to come back for another year, obviously. And then on top of it, you got guys like
I
Devontae
really
Smith.
think I really think Devontae Smith is the most underrated receiver in the NFL. He gets covered up because of AJ Brown, and there's all this stuff. Like he, in terms of a route runner and in terms of catching everything that he touches, he's just special, man. Like he's such a technician. Like he's so technically sound at the position, and he works on his craft. And he's an Alabama product. And there's just been so many guys that have come out of there that just hop right in the NFL and thrive.
He's very physical and scrappy for his size.
For his
Too.
size, I mean, he's
Yeah.
skinny as heck. And he catches everything he touches. He's just so good in and out of his breaks, and he's just a master at like making you think he's going to do one thing and he does another, and then but he's got the ability to catch everything. So you'll see here, this is kind of slowed down. So if you want to pause it kind of as these notes pop up, John, I can explain what they mean. This is a really good breakdown of a climb over route. So a lot of times you'll leak inside here, and the defensive back will just continue to squeeze it because there's no threat of him going back outside. But because look at his eyes here, look at his body angle, look what that defensive back's going to do. He thinks he's going to go out. See the hesitation on the defensive back? Mm-hmm. He has to respect the fact that now he has a two-way go, and then everything looks like he might break back out, and then he sticks and he leaves them with again the eyes, the body shape, and now he's going to go back inside. That separation that he just created increases the probability of a completion, makes the quarterback's life easier, makes the catch easier, and then gives him a chance to score after the catch. And then this is a great throw by Jalen Hurts.
And would you say, Mark, like it's not just as much like the cleanliness of the routes themselves from like a footwork, speed, placement perspective, but then how well your eyes actually sell where you're going.
Dude, everything. Listen, the best salesmen in the world, the best liars in the world, receivers, because they have to make everything look like it's something that it isn't, because that's the best way to get open. That's why that's why I always think like the speed and stuff, natural speed is a little bit overrated, because your ability to just use your body, your head, right? Like the eyes lie. Defensive backs know this, right? But it's really hard not to respect when he's looking straight forward. Like, I don't know if he's going to go in or out. I have to be ready for both, because if he goes out, I'm screwed too. So he gives himself a two-way go here. He probably wins this route no matter if he goes in or out. But on this route specifically, he has an in, and he just freezes that defender and creates much more separation than normal.
And then Hurts, who can, squat like 600 pounds and has a cannon of an arm, I think a very underrated arm, and then also has the ability to do QB sneaks, has the ability to use his legs. The fact that you have this dual threat quarterback complemented by the offensive line with a really freaking good receiving core and depth at running backs. I mean, their offense is
and a tight end.
And a good tight end.
Dallas Goedert's a great blocker. He's a great receiving tight end. Like Jalen Hurts, this is what I'm talking about in the terms of if you're going to take away the running back because he's having a day, Jalen Hurts will make you pay because of the zone read and the read option plays that they run so much of in the RPOs. And I don't know. It's really, really hard to take away everything. If they read it correctly and if they just get a couple blocks in space, he can hit a home run and score on any given play. And I just feel bad for defenses nowadays. Honestly, with players like this at quarterback, I just don't know in this scheme what you do to stop them. I mean, no one stopped them. The Chiefs didn't stop them. They just scored more than them.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
that was a shootout back and forth. And I mean, we were like, whoever has the ball last is going to win this game. You knew it in the first quarter.
He was so unstoppable with the QB sneaks that there was legitimate calls that like, hey, we need to revise how we potentially go about allowing this to happen. I mean, when you're kicking ass so much and you're so impossible to stop on a play that they actually talk about like banning or changing the way that the play is allowed to be executed, you're doing something to defenses last year that not a whole lot of guys can do. So yeah,
and that's
very
frustrating as hell, John, because you get because they're basically just all they have to do is get like 8 yards instead of 10 because they know they can just do that quarterback sneak anytime they're close. Look at this tight window that he completes this ball, and I was amazed at this throw because listen, Jalen Hurts is not known for throws like this. He's more like that's a tight window. He's more known for like the deep ball, wide open receiver, very, very heavy box because of their running, so it's easier to throw the ball. And so he a lot of times doesn't get the credit he deserves on the accuracy of some of these, but these are tight window throws
Right.
that he's picking apart this defense.
That my computer just loves playing right now for whatever reason. My bad, everybody. But I mean, I think like the points made, like this offense is so versatile. They have so many studs everywhere on it. It is very, very difficult to deal
And I
with.
think because of that, John, and obviously their defense is good too. Now we've broken down this play before. Going to pause it real quick.
Yep,
We
one
did
of
a
my
full
favorites.
breakdown on this. The whole idea is, again, with the eyes of where Jalen Hurts is at. He's staring right at Fred Warner, who's on the backside. The guy doesn't move at all because he has to respect the fact that Jalen Hurts could pull it. And then you watch obviously how they execute the offensive
Just watch
line.
the offensive line here. I mean, it's
They
insane.
dominate, and the linebackers can't go make a play on the running back because of the threat of Jalen Hurts. That fear, he doesn't have to do anything on this play except read it. And just because of who he is and what he's done in the past as a runner, makes this running back's life easy. And now you have to imagine that that's going to be DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, and again, like Warner's one of the best linebackers in the league. I mean, by the time that he identifies what's going on with this play,
I mean, he has
way
to
too
stay
late.
backside because of and Greenlaw's on it just by himself here. But look at the push they get, and then Kelsey's athleticism to get on a second level linebacker after kicking the tackle's ass, and they just do this all game long. And then when you try to put more guys in the box to make it tougher on him, they just do play action, and he throws to Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, who are in single coverage because of it. This play it's against your team, John. I'm sorry, but this is probably the best play I've seen Jalen Hurts make as a runner. Because you think he's a power guy, and then you see how stupid his change of direction is. This is a guy who squats. This is a guy who squats 600 pounds. This is a guy who runs people over, breaks tackles. But when you stop on a dime like that and make it. Look at this guy. He's unblocked, and he makes him fall down, and the guy doesn't even touch him. In the NFL, to do that to another grown man, like that doesn't happen often. That's Lamar Jackson-esque. For the Eagles, they match up really well with like every team they play because they run the ball better and because they have the ability to play strong defense as well. You can run the ball and you can play defense. Like you're going to win most games in the NFC.
Yeah, it's and again, if it was the AFC, maybe it's a different take, but they have obviously being in the NFC, they have an NFC heavy schedule, and I think they're going to beat up on their division again, and I think nobody else in the NFC is really going to challenge them.
The recipe clearly in the NFC the last few years, if you look at like what San Francisco's done, you looked at what Philly did, the recipe for the NFC the last few years has been running the ball and playing defense. And I just don't think anyone does that better than them in the NFC. You could argue San Francisco, maybe Detroit this year. There's some teams that have, shown that they can do that. And those are the teams that are improving each year. And Philly just does it better than everybody else. Totally. And there's no secret as to why they were in the Super Bowl last year. There's no secret to why they're the favorite to go back to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. So to me, I think the division is theirs. And I think they're a heavy favorite to win the NFC as well.